There's
Oh,
no.
I'm glad your desktop's as bad as mine.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
Oh, man, yeah. Did she, status was in committee? Did she, indication of what the sense of the committee was about it?
No, just saying that asking for people to sign on, or if your group may be interested in signing on your groups.
Well, what I see is
I
an
sent that- I
act
just
to
sent
allow,
that to you.
I see an act to allow thank you, an act to allow municipalities to create bicycle and pedestrian zones with reduced speed limits. That's what that's not a trail limit.
Yeah,
So this is totally different.
I kind of got the impression from something else I read, but that
So,
also something to do with trails and bike lanes.
so
Go back and look again.
well, I'll tell you what, when this comes up, when we're ready to go. Call the meeting to order? Oh, yeah. Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Of the 131st Pathways, Camden Rockport Pathways Committee.
I don't have it anymore.
Are you guys logged in with us? Down there in Australia?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Excellent.
Can you hear
Okay.
us?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, you shouldn't even be able to see yourself on the big screen.
Oh, it's so nice to be bigger than life. How special.
You are, Anita, you are. So, okay, so we have a reduced crew, but we have a quorum, so let's go ahead and tend to what we wanted to tend to, which is not very much. And maybe we can,
Correct. I was gonna say this
oh, it's my car guy.
$30 million development and maintenance of non-motorized, motorized, and multi-use trails. Statewide, so it includes multi-use, motorized and non-motorized.
So hold that thought for 1 sec, okay? And then we'll go back to it.
Okay.
So let's go to the agenda, which was to approve or disapprove the minutes. Did everybody have a chance to read the one pager?
Mhm.
You make a motion?
I don't always read the minutes, and I don't get to vote on them anyway, so it's just too painful for me.
Make a motion to approve or any corrections?
I'm not ready to approve. I'd like
What's
to
that?
make a comment.
What'd she say?
She'd like to make a comment, she's not ready to approve.
Oh, Christ.
I'm
Okay.
not ready to approve. The first, do I have the floor?
I can't hear you. I can't
Yes,
understand.
you have the floor, Linda.
Yes, it's awful.
Go ahead.
So
Anita,
that means I'm on the other way.
Looks like you're in a camper.
Uh,
Yeah, you get a camper?
I think it's this,
No, it's here.
the speaker.
Can you hear me?
yes, we can hear you. Go
Okay.
ahead. Make your comment,
Okay.
Anita.
The first paragraph under Elm Street intersection, I
Yes.
don't understand why it says present about why the town needn't to address the deteriorating sidewalk along Elm Street. It's just the opposite. We want to say why the town needs to address the deteriorating sidewalk along Elm Street.
Thank you. That appears to be a typo and a very vital typo.
Yeah, no kidding. And the first line, it just needs to be, that typo needs to be corrected. Who was available to will participate February 21st.
Okay, let's just,
It's either who will participate or who was available to participate, but not
Please
who will.
hang on. And that was in the same, nobody else caught the typo, need to decide how to use the video. Where was your second correction, Anita?
The second
the first-
correction is on the very first line under Elm Street intersection.
Yes.
Okay, the committee discussed who was available to will participate February 21st. That needs to be corrected to make
Thank you.
sense.
Who?
Just state will have,
Mhm.
who was available to participate.
Committee discussed who.
I agree.
So can I just, confess, you guys, I was in a terrible car crash and I had a mild concussion, so I want a little sympathy with these typos.
Oh, my goodness.
So can somebody just
She
relay
was
to me?
gonna say that.
Can somebody just say, the committee discussed who is available to participate February 21? Is that okay?
Yes.
Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah,
Okay. Anything else from anybody?
are you okay?
I'm okay now. Yeah. Last Wednesday.
Oh,
But you made the motion to, who made the motion? for
I
these?
did.
Okay. And then who seconded that one?
I can.
You did, Richard?
Somebody, yeah, pick one.
I'm giving it to you, Richard. Okay, all in favor of approving these minutes?
As amended.
As amended, thank you. Was it unanimous?
It's hard to say. I think technically you need a roll call from Anita and Jeff.
Oh, Anita and Jeff? Are you okay with those amended minutes?
Sure.
Jeff
Yes.
says sure, sure.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Let's get on to the good stuff, which is the, there's two bills actually that we've fallen into conversation about. And the first one is under discussion right now at the legislature. And there's a work session March 9th, and that one is an act to allow municipalities to create bicycle and pedestrian zones with reduced speed limits. So the public hearing was yesterday. And this actually came up in conversation with Andrew through the Bicycle Coalition of Maine, right?
Correct.
And the question is, do we want to weigh in, because it's still possible prior to the work session, but that would involve somebody to write a testimony and submit it quickly tonight.
You can't just sign, I mean, I'm looking at the email again. I can put in my name, my answer, and the organization, position, and the email address. I can respond to that right now.
Is that through the Bicycle Coalition of Maine? That,
This is through, I just emailed that to you. The
Okay.
last thing I just sent you, not the one before, but just a second ago.
Yep.
Maine Trails Bond and who supports it so far, and there's like 30 different groups.
wait, you're on the other one, the trail.
The Maine Trails Bond.
Okay, but let's just back up to LD 527, which was the one that you brought to our attention first.
It's the same one, I think.
No, the other one where the public hearing was yesterday is
Do you want me?
for
Reduce speed zones.
the reduced speed zones to
Oh,
allow municipalities. Do we just want to say, let's not talk about that?
Yeah, I thought we were just talking about the Maine Trails Bond.
Okay, so let's
Sure.
move on then to the Main Trails Bond and this. Anita and Jeff, are you hearing us okay?
Yes, but we don't know what these two legislative things are. Maybe a
So
little more explanation would help.
So what we were just talking about, there was some confusion and there was on our agenda, just disregard the prior discussion about a bill that had a public hearing today or yesterday. What we have before us is a proposal to support the Main Trails Bond to invest 30 million in the design, development, and maintenance of non-motorized, motorized, and multi-use trails statewide. And I think Andrew's question, and correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, is that you are asking whether the Camden Rockport Pathways Committee signs on to that, endorses that. And,
It's to support the $30 million Maine Trails Bond.
and whether or not the Pathways Committee through you signs on to that
Correct.
whole thing right now. And that is, I don't know if we have the authority as a municipal committee to do that.
Yeah, I don't know, I don't see why not, I mean, I'm a spokesperson, whatever, through Bicycle Coalition of Maine, that's why I get these emails. So, and they're basically asking me if we would, any group that I happen to be on would support it, so this is the only one.
I think as long as the Pathways Committee, if the majority of everybody here is okay with it, then,
Why not?
I mean,
It's just saying, yay.
the worst
The
thing that
idea.
could happen would be somebody says, you know, everybody should be aware the Pathways Committee doesn't officially represent the towns of Camden and Rockport, so I mean, what danger is that?
Okay,
Did you see
Right.
all the list of
yes, I
people
see.
that are the groups? They're
Yeah.
all groups. There's
I
no
don't see,
individuals.
I see no municipal committees, so we would be the
Yeah.
first. Wait a minute, I'm sorry.
Bath,
I
bicycle,
recant. I love that word, thank you. Bath Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee,
Sounds familiar.
Bath, Maine. So do we want to join our colleagues down in Bath and assign ourselves to this?
I would
Be
propose
bold.
we
I
do.
don't see why not.
There's nothing crazy in there, right? It's just mostly just trails. It's not like trails and family planning or. Oh, yeah, that's always what they're like, what are they trying to do? We're not gonna find out later, like, oh, they got us.
Supporting the war in Ukraine.
Well, I think we're okay with that.
Right. Yeah.
No, this is trails. This is not, this is not,
Right.
is that you, Anita? Do
Andrew.
you-
Jeff and me, yeah.
Go ahead.
Jeff wants to say something.
Okay.
Andrew, did you have a chance to do any background on the pros, cons, for and against this?
No, I did not.
I could see if I can find anything bad about it in a few minutes while you guys are talking.
It hasn't even gone, there's no LD number with it yet. It's just, I guess it's just beginning, so it wouldn't, I don't know if it would make it to this session or not. It may be in the June session. There's a long list, Jeff, of support and we can send you, I can shoot you, in fact, I'll do this right now. I'll shoot you what Andrew just sent to
I
me.
just sent it to them.
Okay. Andrew just sent
Just
to you.
sent you that. You have email there, down there? Gotta go
Yeah,
that
we
much
got-
more.
We got your email down here.
It's a long way. It may take a couple days.
Except it'll be upside down.
My question, don't put it away. My question is actually related to what Allison was just touching on, which is, are there some unintended consequences? Like, is there something else wrapped into this or something like that? Just looking at the paper, it seems fine. And the concept is that they want to raise money in the budget or raise a bond issue with at the next voting cycle to raise money to use for pedestrian bicycle infrastructure, which is awesome. But I just don't know if there's some subtlety to the language that can catch us. I do believe that we should support this, just to move it forward in committee and hopefully it'll go somewhere.
Just judging by the groups that have already signed on. I don't know them personally, but I've heard of most of them. They seem to, they're supporting it, so they are supporting it.
So it's non-motorized, motorized and multi-use trails, just so you know, so.
And it's money for, say, a river walk or
What does that mean,
something
like
like that.
a snowmobile?
Or electric bikes maybe, or,
Not snowmobile trails.
well, it says, it doesn't
Oh,
negate
yeah.
snowmobile.
Yeah, it includes motorized trails,
It could be snowmobile.
which would include ATVs and snowmobiles.
Yeah,
So,
Someone going in, like mowing down a bunch of trees, like just to,
Let's see.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they all have to be for ATVs, but that helps to build support a lot of the time. Some of the money can go to ATV trails. And like the Down East Sunrise Trail, like some of these ones, especially like Down East Maine.
yeah. I don't know.
so
We wouldn't want them on the river walk, but.
does anybody want to make a motion then for having Andrew sign Camden Rockport Pathways Committee endorsing this?
I move that we have Andrew sign and endorse this for the Camden Rockport Pathways Committee.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew.
I second it.
Then you're-
And I
Any,
just want to make sure, Andrew, if you can,
Go ahead, Jim.
Andrew, if you can, sign it as the, our formal name and not as your name.
Oh, that's, yeah, it's in here.
Okay.
I can do that.
all right. All in favor? Okay, seven zip. Right? Six. Okay,
So if this goes through, then do we get access to some of this money for some of our projects? Or is this just like,
Well, potentially.
I'm just,
We have to chase it down.
We'll apply for grants and stuff, it's just like a pot of money, most likely that would be available for grants.
Yeah.
but there is a lot of federal money sitting, and I'm wondering if this move is a collective move to grab some of that federal money before it gets to the DOT or something. So there's a lot more that we don't know that might be with it, but I agree. Maybe we can get some for Route 90 pathways.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. So I'm gonna say that let's follow up. Andrew, will you be like the point person on this and just keep track of it and let us know where its progress is?
Yeah, try.
Okay. Okay, so then the next agenda item was Elm Street. And Andrew and Richard, oh yeah, you had something going on. Thank you for being the representative at the meeting, the February 21st meeting. Thank you, Anita and Jeff, for weighing in, and thank you for being up on the podium.
Yeah,
Yeah. I watched you guys, so I didn't see people's body language. I couldn't necessarily say one way or another how the board was reacting. So what do you think? I know Jeff had asked me if the video was done, and it's not, and I was hoping that there would be some, and I was hoping Lil would be here to talk about inserting some either audio, because he did do some audio with one of the bike riders, right? One of the middle school bike riders, but it would be nice to,
will it?
didn't he send us something a while ago?
He's talking about them, but yeah, maybe.
It would be good to get a little bit more video, I think, of maybe the kids who were biking.
Yeah.
Just to get their impressions, and then if there's a third person or entity, we could just throw into that video, not to make it a really long video, but just to have it go a little bit more, a few more citizens. So I don't know if there's somebody else.
I think it would be good to get somebody from Quarry Hill or equivalent.
Do you have any ideas who might be at Quarry Hill?
That
You know,
would
do
take
you
some
need-
research.
Hmm?
It would take some
That would take
resources.
some-
Yeah, okay.
I don't know, a lot of people that live in the apartments down there that probably push strollers. I don't know, do they want to ride them? The one across from like Minnie's.
The union. But is that where, yeah, that's a good idea. You mean to nab one of those? Do a stakeout until somebody comes with a stroller.
I know, I think she moved over to Matthew Young, I know people who have lived there with strollers.
I think, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I bike through there a lot
Do you?
in summer, just like I cut through the apartments to hook in when I'm going to Camden. And
Yeah,
I definitely see a lot of bicycles in that parking lot, kids. I don't know. I don't know anybody that lives there though.
There's also the bed and breakfast across from Rennie's that has been an ardent supporter of improving that sidewalk.
Oh, yeah. I talked to them, to Gary and,
Did you get them on video?
No, they sent me an email though.
Let's go get them on vid. That would be perfect. No, that would be perfect because that's a
The
business.
elms. Are you just
The
that what you're
elms?
talking about? The only elms? Yeah, no? The elms?
Is it the elms?
What was the name? Do you know? This,
There's two there.
It's okay.
Where are they?
That's what I was wondering, or like, what time is it there?
What time is it? What are you guys doing? What time is it?
It's 7 in the morning.
Oh, you guys, that's nice you got up to come with us.
Yeah, like my hat.
What? Allison, you're the one that talked to those guys. I didn't.
Oh, okay, so the one, it's back, it's the,
The elms.
okay, it's the information that came from me. So yeah, it's the elms.
Okay,
And also there's the. I mean, if we're really, are we trying to make the video like. Perfect, or are we trying to, 'cause
No.
there are other people too, like, we can talk to Margot Moore. People that work.
I think
there.
I think that's good. Let's just do, we just need the bike riders, a couple of them. And the elms, because that is the woman, Susan,
Mhm.
who was great. You guys did really, those clips are wonderful. And then if we have young kids, and then if we have business owner. That's enough, because you guys don't, up there, you don't have a lot of time to listen or to watch a video. I mean, don't you think 90 seconds or a minute is tops for something like that?
I think for some people that is. Their limit. I'm clearly not a good gauge of how long anybody else wants to talk about anything.
Well, what do you guys?
or how long they want to look at videos.
You don't want my advice. I often get feedback that it should have been less than it was, so.
What do you all think we should shoot for in terms of length of a video to present to
I
these
think,
guys?
I think it shouldn't be limited if it means not including one of these elements. So like if it takes 1.5 minutes to get all those elements in, or 2 minutes, then that's okay. 2 minutes might be the maximum.
Okay, thank you. That's what I needed to hear.
Allison, did you speak with anyone else on Elm Street, like the gas station owner down there on the corner?
I haven't talked to Gary about this. I don't know if he's gonna be the candidate for the video right off.
No, but I'm just curious. It's probably gonna impact him much anyway.
Well,
But I've been looking
impacting
it over.
lots of people,
Yeah.
currently. So, yeah, I think it's more like something. Gary's been a part of the conversation in the past, and I'm sure he will be, going forward, but I don't think he's maybe for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not afraid to talk to him about it, but.
I think Anita and Jeff's letter really
that really needs to go
emphasize that our role is not to get involved in the intersection. It's to say, just please get on it,
Right.
get on the case.
Yeah, the sidewalk that here's who it's impacting right now.
Yeah.
And that we really should just get that word out, like, this is the problem with the sidewalk and.
That's right. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so let's
So
get a
Allison
slogan.
as a Allison as a member, sorry.
Go ahead, Anita, go ahead.
Across this walk. up.
Allison, as a member of the select board, is this possible? Do you know anything about how to get it on the agenda to actually discuss it? I thought that was a most unfortunate that they chose not to put it on the agenda, or that Audra forgot in spite of what she'd been sent. So is there going to be action on the part of the Pathways Committee to try to get this as a discussion item on an agenda soon?
Well, let's think about what the benefits would be of forcing the select board to talk about something. So, I mean, I see that I too am frustrated sometimes by what is on the agenda or not, but I think we should be really clear in our heads about what, I think the letter was great, and that the letter should be more widely circulated, like in the community. Because ultimately, the select board tends to make things priorities when they feel like it's like impossible to ignore, I guess you could say, because of like community conversation. So I don't know that forcing the select board to try to make a decision about something just
I don't
as a
think
discussion. Like, I think we could have, there could be a time when I could say, the Pathways Committee has made a video. And we are gonna, you know, I could use my select board report time to show it, or if we could ask for that to be on the agenda to show the video. But I think there should be something, because right now the select board, if we were like, we're gonna put this on as a discussion item, Audra would need something to be sharing, and then something that we could do with that, or something that would.
She would need an action
Yeah, like what are
plan.
we trying to get from the select board?
But-
So,
But so, sorry, Anita, but I just go back to when Audra first came to talk about it with us, Audra brought it up. Right, at our, right, guys, at our December meeting or January meeting. Or it became a topic. And it seemed to me at that point that there would be an action plan with the DOT.
so there are a number of grants that are available. And so at any, you know, given time, I think she's trying to figure out where we can move forward. So we have,
So it's possible to get money from someone else besides MDOT?
well, no, they mostly come from, so the ones like the big ones, are gonna come through that. So I do during a select board report time here, I have some updates from Dave to share about like different MDOT projects, but they're trying to, what's rolling through this right now, there's John Street, for instance, there's, the next step for the sidewalk stuff is gonna be to apply for some kind of grant funding to do it, but there's no real, we're not really ready, I think, in Audra's mind, to apply for funding there to actually do something.
Well, not until there's a plan.
Allison,
Right. I mean, the
I'm
thing
not
is,
exactly-
the select board, it was very, very clear that the select board is very divided and confused about this,
Not wanting to change the intersection, I'm assuming.
not knowing what to do.
Right.
So, and most importantly, like we said before, not understanding the scope of the problem. So I think, and that's a general problem in the community as well.
Yeah.
So the letter did the first, we just have work to do before the community's ready to say, yeah, this is why we're doing.
Is the main
Yes.
objective to get the sidewalk fixed, or the main objective to get the intersection repaired? I mean,
Well, in our
sidewalk,
minds,
but
in
it's
our minds,
Impossible to separate, unfortunately.
in our minds is to fix the sidewalk.
Right.
Is to tend to the sidewalk. Yeah,
there's, that is, it's so crazy to me that it's the sidewalk.
Allison?
Here,
Mhm.
okay, Linda,
Mhm.
yes,
Um,
Anita, go ahead.
I think, if I understand what Allison was trying to get across, I may not have understood it. It seems like she was saying the select board shouldn't be asked to make a decision because they don't have enough information or something, but what I'm suggesting is that the select board, the decision the select board needs to discuss and decide is how they're going to move forward on this issue. How? So are they going to have a special work group, then decide about that? That's all we're asking at this point, is how the select board has to decide how it's going to move forward. Not what it's going to do and what decision it's going to make. It's going to decide how it's going to get to that decision.
So they need like.
And I think that can be discussed by the select board now.
So are you, okay, so Anita, let me just encapsulate, what I think you're trying to say is that the Pathways Committee comes back with a film, and we urge the select board to create a work group. Is that what you're saying? Or to what? I mean, what are we suggesting the select board does?
Well, we
To-
can decide, we can suggest a work group, but what we're really suggesting is that the select board decide what method they would be happy with. And is a work group the right method? Fine, but they can't just say, we can't decide, so we're not gonna do anything. That's where they
Yeah.
are now. And if
Okay.
they can't decide, then decide how they're gonna decide.
So with this money flowing in for John Street, it's a natural time to plan for Elm Street, right? If there's a sidewalk for John Street and $700,000 for that, well, then by default, let's tie in a plan for Elm Street. And is that part of our message? Like, let's get a plan, and we don't care whether you get a work group or something, but seize the opportunity now.
Yeah, well, sure, you can throw in that suggestion. But what I feel the pattern I'm seeing is that the select board is going for the easy projects. There's money here, that's an easy project. It goes from A to B, we're done. And this project, which Andrew, I wish he would speak to the select board about how long he's been aware that it's been on the agenda for this town, or a problem or issue for this town. But, you know, they need to recognize that this is hard, but you can't fix it by not doing anything and not deciding how you're gonna work towards your goal.
Okay, go ahead, Andrew.
So how did the John Street proposal come about? And how did that happen? Anybody know the
It's
process?
the #1 priority in the comprehensive plan.
Fine.
Well, the funding finally came through from the DOT.
There was a problem. One,
Yep.
two, there was a plan.
The comprehensive plan had a whole process for identifying things. It's been identified, John Street is identified as one of the most suitable areas in town for like growth. It doesn't have sewer. And it's been on the priority list for sewer, and it's been on the priority list for a sidewalk. And we have ARPA funds
So-
that can be used as matching funds. And there's, for the most part, you know, consensus, and I would challenge the idea that any of this is easy. It's very difficult, actually. All of the sidewalk work that has been happening in town. The 105 project isn't even finished yet. As you know, the process of eminent domain, there's just a
Yeah.
huge amount of work that's been going on in town, and there's problems downtown with all the construction and the bump outs, and not all of that has been right, and arguing with DOT and all of that stuff. So there's more activity in the sidewalk construction department happening in town than I would argue like ever before all at once.
So,
How do you get on the priority list? It
So
seems like
this
you
one
kept
is
on
for-
mentioning that, something, we got on the priority list, then
I mean, it's in the downtown master plan, it's on the priority list,
Okay.
but you're gonna have to do the work with the community to get everybody feeling like it's important enough and there's a solution. It's just, I think you're on the right track, make the video, share it, but I also think that letter that went out, that went to a very small audience. It didn't even end up in the Penn Bay pilot, for instance, and
it could, right?
it,
yeah, that could, but, okay, so I understand what you're saying about
because then
community
people will
outreach,
read that.
but I just keep coming back to, and this is where I agree with Anita. If we come before with a video to the select board and say, would you please address the Elm Street? And it in conjunction with John Street, and it is the gateway to Camden. pretty much. And if you see somebody rolling down the street in a wheelchair and we don't have a sidewalk, that doesn't, that doesn't
Which is also
represent.
the case on John Street, which is like really bad for these poor people who
Yeah.
are over at the Mary Gardens and are trying to get to Hannaford.
That's true too.
It's like, so, I mean, you guys, listen, I'm on your side. I want it to be a priority too. There's only so much that can happen, and there's only so much success in trying to force things on the agenda. It just sometimes doesn't lead to
Right,
results.
so-
I think
so-
you can hammer it. I think you can come to public comment every single time, and you can say this is upsetting.
Is that the best way to bring it?
Well,
No,
that's how they do, that's how the Save the Dam Committee does. I mean, they just relentlessly come up front, and in some ways that's politically. That's because you get, everybody's watching at the beginning of the meeting, not at the end, so
Right.
that's why I don't think it would be good in your report. I think it should be.
But
Upfront.
then you're saying that we're trying to get it to the public. So if your goal is to try to get it to the public, then we have many opportunities to do that. If we're trying to convince the select board, then
So when we first discussed this with Audra, it was that there was DOT money to fix the intersection. And that's why she sort of engaged this committee to go forward with a letter and to go forward. So do we just keep following through with that message? And I understand the community outreach, that's something different. I'm just talking about moving forward with our next step with the select board.
well, think about the fact that there could end up being 2 new select board members too. So you have to think ahead a little bit and make that a campaign issue right now.
Yeah,
But the budget committee, I mean, yes, we can keep trying. I think we should keep trying on all fronts
Yeah.
and see where the process for getting things on the agenda is I can send I'll send an email and I will request that either that it's on the agenda or that I can talk to Bob and or Audra about,
well, I think Audra had offered, when she emailed back and said, I'm sorry, that it didn't get on the February 21st agenda, would you like to wait? And she was gonna try for your next March one. I say we just ask again to get on the agenda, and I don't know, Andrew, if you wanna represent again the Camden.
yeah, if we can formulate something,
And-
a way to present it so that it's acceptable and.
Well, here, I think it's great with the video. Here's what we've discovered through talking to people in town. And you show the video and then it's. You guys
I
had
thought-
talked, the select board had talked about
Right.
the intersection last winter.
So
And
I
where are
did,
you?
I have a drawing I'm making of the intersection. It's not gonna have anything to do with cars, but it's just, I'm gonna try to make a sketch of it. I think it makes sense. Widening the sidewalk all the way down. I've been to that intersection several times lately, looking at the right turn lane. It gets used 1 in 30 cars or 1 in 40 cars, this time of year. That could be done away with. People going right will probably turn on Park Street or something further back. Anyway, I'm just curious if y'all think a sketch would make sense and video.
I don't think the sketch, because I think that gets into solutions and it's like,
Yeah,
kind of like you have to go through the layers of things. I think
Do you think we
stopping
should?
by and saying, Gary, let's sketch out something that you think, you could do that, but I don't think the sketch right now.
But just a simple, say, look, we're just asking for a way for pedestrians to get down
In bikes
and bikes.
And wheelchairs.
Sorry.
and wheelchairs. Thank you.
Wheelchairs.
Yes.
That's all.
Yeah.
You
No,
could
I
show
mean,
them the downtown master plan that voters approved.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I'll go with
that has that in it. But I think that's the kind of thing that takes more time to understand the details. It could be useful to work on that with individual select board members, like, hey, I'd like to, depending on like seeing what the reaction is.
I did watch that whole DOT meeting.
Uh,
That was.
So shall we ask to get on the agenda for April?
Well, if we have something good to get. to present
Okay,
my-
okay, here's an idea, here's an idea. How's about we get, yeah, we get a couple, we get the Elm Street B and B people, if they're willing to go on video. And we get, and if Will can get a couple of guys who are biking every day. And we put this video and we review the video in April, which gives a month. The committee does. And then we move forward with that package for May, if we all agree that the video is okay.
What
Again,
package, what package is that?
For Andrew, the
package?
package, that's Andrew's package, to go before the select board in May to show the video and say, hey, please, this is what we've learned.
do you think they'll
Okay,
want us?
I wanted to just sort of emphasize something that Allison touched on, and that's very valid. One of the problems is that when there are a lot of things for the town administration, Audra, select board to do, when they've got a lot of projects, then Audra will put up a list like she will this summer in July to say, these are all the projects we're working on. New select board. I can't take any more because we just can't take any more projects. So we've got, now we're talking about John Street. So that's a sidewalk project, and that's basically taking up space in the agenda in the town's list of things to do and time.
Yeah,
And
I'm
so
honestly like,
will Montgomery Dam, if they are successful in getting that work done, not that it doesn't need to be done, but basically what I'm saying is that there are always projects and
Anita, we don't
concerned.
need to put in any sewer on Route 1, okay? So I honestly like the idea that like you guys would advocate against working on John Street because of, we're not ready to do anything on Route 1. It's really obvious, okay? Like, it's, nobody has consensus. We can get something done on John Street. And honestly, if you would let, like, they're even talking about, and I didn't want to say this in an angry way. I was excited to share this with you guys. But as part of that conversation, there's a new, the person who's in Patrick's job right now, that they hired in the new active transportation planner,
Oh, yeah, Patrick Adams.
Dakota Hewlett, is pretty awesome, it seems like, if you read about them, but they were pretty excited about resurrecting the trail idea to the high school as part of this along the power lines because it would be a logical thing from John Street.
Who's in charge? Who is excited about that?
DOT.
As opposed to going along Route 1 to Route 90 where we,
You know, the thing that the Pathways Committee was initially formed.
no, I know. But now all of a sudden this is like, now the DOT wants to talk about putting up pathways under the power line to go out to the high school and not even understanding what it's like over in Mystic, where you have all of these property owners who are gonna say, no, no way.
There's already an easement, like. It was just something that was talked about as
As an idea.
yeah, you
Yeah.
really just.
I think it's natural human nature to keep this stuff up there. And continue to brainstorm. I think part of our job as the Pathways Committee is to continue to try to maintain the consistent message. And the message that we decided on 2 months ago was to put this letter together and then reinforce it with this video, with the point that we're trying to make, which is this is a great opportunity for Camden to take advantage of huge funding.
It's a
That's-
DOT support that we don't want to lose.
Camden is, go ahead. Neil.
Go ahead.
Camden has been offered a sizable amount of money to complete this project. And the onus is on us now to figure out how to move forward. I totally get that boards can only handle, administration can handle only a certain amount of workload. This workload is something that will be happening in 4 or 5 years. A very slow process that's going to move forward, but we have to continue to keep DOT on track to work on Elm Street and to let them know that Camden is committed to doing this. And I think what Anita's saying is we just want to take small incremental steps, not monster steps. And Allison, I know that there's a lot going on with the select board and that we have to be very, very clear that we're not asking for a solution in the next year or 2 years, that all we're looking for is motion. So the DOT knows that too, and that we're moving forward on our master plan, and the DOT sees that also, and we're consistent. We're not going to switch to the doing something to the high school, and we're not going to switch somewhere else. I know John Street is low-hanging fruit because it doesn't have these hurdles, but it would be sad that it took precedent when there's, like $1 million sitting out there waiting for us to take advantage of.
Well,
Yeah,
that was,
sure. Can I just say,
Yeah, go
real
ahead.
quick, that, I hope everybody is thinking about who's gonna run for the select board. Because the idea that there can be consistency with a completely inconsistent group of people that changes all the time, and then that the success of all of these goals is just gonna be based on the ability to lobby people that come in and have no idea about the history of any of this. And then by the time they start to get educated, they leave. So some people that care about these things really need to step up and either run for the select board or make it like a major thing that you really influence everybody over. You're gonna have to elect people that care about these things. I am doing as much as I possibly can to advocate for this to be a priority on the select board, but I'm only one person.
so
And
let's push this until June. Jeff, I hear your message. I think we're all on board with that. And let's get this video and then ask for it. If it can't be on the agenda.
May,
No, because we'll have,
doesn't have to,
no,
doesn't
we'll
have
have,
to be.
no, we're gonna have new select board people possibly in June. So,
Also, there's already crosswalk work, reading over the stuff from Dave earlier, there's already crosswalk work that has been approved for Route 1. That was part of the heads up stuff
Yeah.
that Dave did.
right,
So we already got a bunch of money to do crosswalk work for Route 1. Okay, that's part of this, but what they're looking to possibly do is an MPI grant for the Route 1 sidewalk along with the crosswalk work that's already been approved. So there's
forward motion.
forward motion.
Okay, there's forward
There's-
motion. So Jeff, just to iron out, we've got forward motion. I love that slogan too. No solution, forward motion. So if we have potentially two new select board, who's up for? Are you?
Me and Bob.
You and Bob are up for election. So if there's potential for two new select board members at the following June town meeting, which is June 8th, right? Then the next one will be June 21st, the next select board meeting or something like that. So doesn't it make sense to wait to show the video then? I mean, it's only a month, it's only 4 weeks later
like-
from May.
No, but
Yeah,
I liked
twice.
what Allison said. We need to try to get this in the papers so that the candidates are aware of it and it becomes an issue.
And do it twice. There's no reason you can't show it twice, right?
I like the idea of getting it out there instead of waiting till afterwards. That said, if it doesn't become an issue for candidates and it doesn't make it out there in the papers and the discussion doesn't happen, then we'll do something else. When the new select board's there, we'll do a report out from what's happening. We'll send a letter to the select board
Okay.
again.
Does anybody
It
see
doesn't
it?
just go away.
Why would you be opposed to?
No, but you've got to like call, so you find out somebody's running for the select board, right? And you say, I see you took papers out. I just wanted to contact you and let you know, I'm really concerned that this has not been prioritized. What do you think about this? And then you say, oh, right away, like then they're thinking about it. So. I mean,
But
this is what-
Andrew's right. It's not it's not really like it's like, do you like babies? You know, everybody likes
But-
babies, everybody likes
It
sidewalks.
could impact a couple of homeowners or where the sidewalk is very narrow. And they may
Oh,
not
no,
like those kind of babies,
You're
taking their
yeah.
stone wall.
I don't want the skinny baby.
But there's enough room there to make it. to
You're
go.
gonna find out that some people might be like, start, you can find out something by talking to these
Okay.
people and.
Let's, it's already quarter after and we needed to touch on a couple of other things. So is the plan of action, you guys, for May? Does everybody want Andrew to go? Is the video, do I have to make this video? People have to get the clips in production and it goes, we review it in April and then it goes before the select board in May. Is that the plan of action?
Yeah, yeah.
Richard says yes. You guys in Australia say yes. Andrew, you're cool with that, Kristen? Okay, May it is.
May, not May. I thought
It
April.
says-
Okay.
says-
I thought it was
No.
next month. Okay.
Can't change it
I
now.
thought it was next month.
May is when Andrew's gonna go with it to the select board. Andrew and
Richard's gonna stand next to me and.
I'll hold
Richard
him up.
Yeah.
Or he can hold me up.
and Jane and Tom, and I don't know where Tom is. Okay, everybody agreed? Excellent,
Yeah.
okay. So that means I've got to get the video ready by April. Okay,
I mean, that's why I didn't like super push to try to have it on the agenda for
yeah,
this next time, because I mean, ideally, we would have a video done or something.
Well, we wouldn't have had enough stuff to talk about.
yeah,
Present.
Right.
it needed fleshing out, it needed
It
development,
still does, so.
it still does,
It
but
should be on the next.
it's gonna be on
agenda
the,
For the next meeting
it's gonna be on the next agenda.
Oh,
What's the matter, you're not here?
over this, over this,
committee.
okay, I was thinking. hold on.
No, for the, no,
Sorry.
April
Hey,
pathways.
Linda,
Yes,
that timeline for May, the select board meets every 2 weeks. We meet once a month.
yeah.
So I don't understand why it's May. Is there any possible way that we could produce this video by our next meeting prior to April? That'd be 1 month from now, 3 weeks, sorry. So that we can say, yeah, we're good to go. And then the next select board meeting, it is presented as a non-agenda item, just like we said.
I don't know. It depends if people can get the clips. I think it'll just depend on the production crew.
My
Yeah.
concern, my
Gotta get-
concern is that we're gonna wait until May and it's nothing gonna happen until the week before and it won't happen and then May will be gone.
Yeah, and I can't, I'm not gonna commit without, we just have, there's a lot involved of people going out to talk to people and get the clips and then to put it together. So I'm inclined to say, if it comes together, great. By our April meeting, that's wonderful, but no excessive pressures. If
Yeah.
if somebody else can, if Will can get the kids.
I can get
and-
Will to get the kids.
When are you guys coming back?
Can you come back for like a couple days,
Yeah, just to.
a week or two?
I mean, what, seriously,
get
when are
Will.
you guys?
Seriously, probably October.
Oh, Jesus.
I can get Will to get the kids. This can be done on your phone and sent in.
Hey, Jeff,
It doesn't.
I
have
get
to
where you're
be-
coming from, but there is, people do have a lot of stuff going on, so I think
We've
it's,
got a breakwater to worry about, Jeff.
there's,
Yeah,
Oh, jeez. Are they gonna put in a breakwater?
Don't don't go down that rabbit hole. Stop it.
You guys are, like, working on John Street, you're like, oh, John Street, I don't know, that might be taking away stuff. I think it'd be better to criticize like maybe the breakwater
I
is.
think they're gonna turn the whole harbor into a lock marina now.
Yeah.
Leave that Route 1 across Curtis Island, just turn the whole thing into a parking lot. Well,
Oh.
Not enough parking anyway, we gotta solve that problem.
Okay, so we're gonna do the best we can, Jeff, to meet your deadline. We are, but we may have to put in some slips. Can we move on? Are we ready to move on? Because we've got,
I actually have to pick up my little boy from the Y at 7:30, so.
yeah, I'm with you. I'm coming with you.
Okay, then.
They close, so I can't just like let them
Yeah.
jump in.
So I think the next thing on our agenda was the, we did the bond, and the Elm
master
Street.
plans.
And the master plans, and the minutes did not reflect who was in charge of didn't we appoint an overseer of the master plan production at the last one? Was that you, Anita? Are you the master? Are you the master of the plans?
The downtown master plan?
No,
No.
the Camden and Rockport, or are you the
Pathways.
Pathways?
Yeah.
Does anybody remember? Because it
I
wasn't in the
remember talking
minutes.
about it, and I remember us discussing how long it was.
Well, we set July as the deadline,
Mhm.
and
Seemed like somebody.
Camden people were gonna look at the Camden one, and Rockport people were gonna look at the Rockport.
Mhm. Can we go down to the harbor and do it?
Yeah, we can. So, I guess you guys really aren't coming back until October? Is that true?
That's
that
pretty
true?
much the plan. It will come in costume at the end of the month.
So you better check your visas.
Yeah, that's the rub right now. It's the visa thing.
I guess October's not that far. is it, really? Yeah.
It takes time to see a whole continent.
Oh, there are some other things, they're gonna be replacing telephone poles on, a bunch of streets in Camden, and they've actually proactively contacted the town. To one of Anita's issues.
Who,
So hang on one sec, hold that thought. So in terms of the master plans, what I'm gonna suggest again to the committee members is that we each take our respective towns and start reading through and see if the plans match, because Camden's was 2007, and I do think it's really important. We all know it's important to have these master plans updated. So let's just continue on for our July deadline. And I'll send out an
Has
email.
anybody been in touch with our other Camden members that we haven't seen lately at the Pathways meetings?
what's the question?
Well, Jane and Tom were at the February 21st. Who,
Will's a Camden member.
Will was there as well.
Will was there as well. Yeah, Will, yeah, I've been in touch with Will.
Still working on Andrew.
He's Rockport.
Andrew's not getting our emails.
That's Andrew.
Oh, not Andrew, no.
No, and I don't know if we have a vacancy. I don't think we have a vacancy right now. And Andrew is Rockport, I believe, isn't he?
This Andrew?
Andrew Davis.
No, this,
Andrew Bailey. But
this one we voted off the island because he wasn't getting. So I will, Anita, I'll check with Tom and gauge his interest level, but people have been showing up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of Rockport, I did not speak with Margot. I said, I don't know where she is tonight, and Amber said that she is interested. I think she's just really, really busy. So, and I don't have any updates from Rockport at all. But I know things are happening, but I just have to get updates, but we can,
is Heidi still on the committee?
well, I'll talk with Heidi.
Okay,
Yeah,
she's
I don't
still-
know where she is. You're the last one who had contact with Heidi about, and she was on the fence sort of about,
Yeah, I'm actually gonna see Heidi, for quite a while tomorrow.
could you check in with her about Rockport and see, I mean, if she wants to step down, then let us know, and then we'll tell the select board. that we need another one, but I'm also leery of, I don't know what the select board is even, I hate to bring it up because I don't know what they're thinking about this joint committee. I'm
Right, sometimes it's good just to keep voting members on.
just trying to keep it under the wire
Right,
in Rockport.
yeah.
Okay, so then, so did you have some committee updates? Did you wanna,
Yeah, just like a couple things. I know the utility pole thing has been long been a concern of Pathways Committee for good reason. And
Any specific ones, or are you just saying general?
I think in general,
Yeah,
they're
okay.
just terrible, but,
Yeah.
but so, and Anita a while back had, reached out and looked at different towns that had, ordinances. Like Lewiston, I think you had a conversation with was the public works director there. Anyway, we're doing a street opening, ordinance, hopefully for June. Which is gonna deal with some of this stuff with sidewalks and, what happens now a lot of the time is contractors come through and need, whether it be, CMP replacing poles or the water company cutting things open and not putting things back like to a standard, and it messes up the sidewalk and, there isn't really a process in Camden for approval of utility related construction in the right of way. So they're working on that.
who's working on that?
Dave and, Bill Kelly and maybe Jeremy also.
So this would tighten up the regulations for placement, but also maintenance of poles?
Yes, and, also the, like, the stuff that contractors do when they dig up a sewer line and it turned into a problem for like the quality of the sidewalk and the
Yeah.
quality of because it all ends up falling apart, but also, interestingly enough, CMP, recently reached out to the town to let them know that they were gonna be replacing a bunch of poles and wanting to go through the town's process, for approval. So-
Thinking we really had one.
Yeah, and I think maybe like in a matter of speaking, we do. I wouldn't want to be on record here saying that we don't. But there's, they're trying to tighten that up with the right of way ordinance, but they did give a list, that Dave shared with me. It said not all poles are being replaced on the listed streets, but any that are on the street list below that are being relocated will be placed outside of the sidewalk. So that's
Yay! Yay!
right. So they are, so here's a list of the streets where they're gonna be replacing a bunch supposedly. Beatty Street, Camden Street, which I think is Rockford, Church Lane, Dakota Street, which I'm not familiar with, Elm Street, Free Street, Harrison, John Street, Lime Rock, Mechanic, Norwood, Parker, Penobscot, Rawson, Union Street.
That is like practically the whole town.
Did you
in
say
Evans.
Full Street?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
All those poles are in the way. That
yeah, so we'll try to,
can't be done until you replace this, fix the sidewalk.
Yeah, that is like,
Really
that's
bad.
part of the plan,
Yeah, you've seen it.
but Dave knows that.
Yeah,
yeah.
An example, when they've got a very long list like that, we need to compare it to where we have, we want to have a sidewalk installed that hasn't been existing before. So an example would be Rawson Avenue, which has no sidewalk, needs one, is on the list. And they can say, well, there wasn't a sidewalk, so it's not in the way. And then it would just complicate the planning for the sidewalk on that road. So I don't
Okay,
know
yeah,
how that's gonna be done.
That's a good thing I'll reply to that. That's great feedback. So I think that's the kind of thing that Dave is looking for. So I'll make sure that makes it on the list of considerations.
Thank you.
Allison, any chance we could get that list?
I can
Can you post
do
the list?
that The email, sure.
Can we just
Yeah.
put it on the Google Doc so we can let other people know too that in the committee?
Allison,
Yeah,
the point is to try to do some legwork on behalf of Dave so that we can just sort of go, here's how it matches up to the list that we gave him like 3-4 years ago of the issues. I think this is fantastic that Dave is following up on this. And the reason, just real quick, that he's on this is that Audra was on a past sort of wrote a letter to the legislature along with 10 or 11 other towns to try to get the utility companies to be more responsible for their actions or lack thereof. For instance, when they take a pole out, they'll leave the other pole there for years, or they'll
Right.
leave a pile of dirt for years, and they'll just put the pole right back to where it was when it was a hazard. So this is a huge step forward. And what Dave and Audra learned was if there were local town methodologies, then the DOT would have to follow them. And I think DOT got that message. And so it's great that Camden is going to take this effort so that that utility companies will have to follow those. This is just fantastic.
So why don't we find out, why doesn't the Pathways Committee find out if Rockport has a comparable ordinance? Why don't we find that out? We'll talk, the Rockport people will talk about that one.
Okay,
Yeah, because that's important with, Rockport's got a bunch of poles.
yeah.
Yeah, street.
Yeah, not as many, Linda, because they fixed the one on what is it called? Abraham Hill, whatever it's called. Ingram's, yeah, Ingram Hill, those got all moved. So that was a big move.
But I'm curious about Amesbury, I'm curious about whether the ordinances are similar. I mean, if there was ever a time to talk about similar road opening ordinances. Who's working on that ordinance right now? Is that a,
I'm not sure if it's Bill Kelly or if it's.
but it's a,
Jeremy.
oh, okay, it's
It
a
was presented by
right away though?
Jeremy. Dave gave Jeremy some stuff to work from. Apparently, we looked back and in 2007, the town actually tried to pass a similar ordinance, but they combined so many things in it that seemingly it actually didn't pass. And it looked like maybe it was because Nancy Cowell Johnson didn't like that the town might trim trees without permission or something like that, but
I think I remember
Yeah,
something, but that's a right, it's a right, this one is a right of way ordinance. Is
yeah,
that-
this one is more dealing with like this, like the fundamental thing is that contractors come in and
Right.
they just dig up the roads and then they put it back and they don't compact everything properly and it's
okay.
just,
Curb cuts and right of way.
yeah.
This is
Uh,
awesome. This is great.
All right,
Hey guys, you
Okay.
okay before I go? Am I good?
you are so good. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming in person.
Yeah, you're so
Yeah.
welcome. I like in person.
Yeah,
Want to spot this way? Or do I
Yeah.
go back that way?
no, that one. Yeah,
You
you
can
can
go
go.
either
Well, you can
way.
go
Right
either.
either way.
Anyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Kristen. Anything else in your updates, or is that it?
No, I think that's it.
So
Right,
that would be an actual ordinance. It's signed in,
Mhm.
requiring,
Yeah, it would, I think they're gonna try to put in the, requirements for, filling out a form for all the different, getting approval for each of the polls. And,
right,
and then all the stuff about like bonds for construction companies, and there are a few different good ordinances out there.
good, and that's wonderful, and I'd love to, I'll talk with Jeremy to see where the progress is on that, then I'll ask Rockport. Okay, do we have anything else? No, we're good. We're hitting 7:30 on the mark.
2 more minutes.
You guys all set? What are you gonna do today?
You gonna give us a tour of your camper?
Where are you going today?
You don't need to do it just.
Does Anita and Jeff?
You want a tour of the camper?
Okay, I think we can, I think we're